Welcome to Little Birdie. I'm your host, Nick Heathcote, joined by Jack Dickens, professional horse racing punter, and Sammy Todd, ex-bookie in COVID lockdown. It's been a funny week in sport and racing. How are you guys?
Feeling pretty good, thank you. How are you?
You look very, very fresh. But
big white pants on today from Samantha Todd.
yeah, it's a real alpha play. And can we talk about
Peacocking.
Yeah, can we talk about the tortoiseshell goggles?
You got it, show it off.
Well, there's not a lot to talk about. They're $69 from Specsavers, which isn't a plug. They were the cheapest on the wall.
Are they just faux? Is there any lens in there, or are they just for fashion?
There is lens in there. I had a prescription maybe a month or two before Darcy arrived, and about 2 or 3 months after he arrived, he destroyed 2 of them.
Okay.
Went the last 6 months without them, and as we've been in COVID, and my eyes have just been copping relentless screen to the face. No outdoors looking at ponies. I think it's caused. I noticed that they started to go, so I booked myself into Specsavers and got a little cheapy pair.
Oh, it's a real look.
I appreciate the support, Sam.
Out of 10, Sammy, the tortoiseshell, does it match Jack's complexion?
I probably wouldn't have.
Oh,
All right, good luck. Good luck today, Sam.
nice little torch early. Jack, what are
Just
we?
getting out of here. Anyway.
What's happened this week? Any big news? You've had a nightmare golf round. I've been too busy and working. And
No, I all signed up to Sandhurst Golf Club out there at, I guess it's Sandhurst, I don't know.
Cranbourne.
Cranbourne. Played Friday with Samantha's other half, the Dolphin, and Pants Tim. Shot 11 over. I was very happy with myself. Played yesterday, shot 20 over. Still, there's a lot of work to do. I don't know what's wrong. There's, as you would say, a lot of head noirs over the big driver.
A lot of head noise.
But the last drive down the 18th, when I needed a big one to halve the Stableford points, was big and long and straight. So there's a little bit of hope there. But other than that, just been betting pretty good, actually. Having a good week so far.
I can't wait to lip up on the golf course when I can get out of the cave. Sammy, I saw some lobster tails on the barbecue the other night. You got a new cookbook.
Well, this is going to be for social media as well. We want you to
Yes,
get in on Twitter. What's the worst gift a loved one has given you? Samantha's going to kick us off here with the big Dolph. Was it your birthday last week, or week before?
No, it's just because I'm wonderful. But
What'd you get?
he gave me a cookbook. And, I am a bit of a chef. I don't mind a bit of time in the kitchen. And so I get where he's coming from. It was from our favourite restaurant, quite sweet. But then there was the little note attached to it, which was, I hope this is the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh, you can't
Hang on a minute.
20 Dolph, mate.
Oh, backhanded
on.
compliment.
So I'm not sure. Like, do I buy him a drill and say, honey, there's a couple of cupboards that need fixing? I
It
just
is
don't know
2020.
That wouldn't get you anywhere.
I don't know what to do about this. I see what he was trying to do, but
Wow.
Just-
But you just had to
Little-
throw in that comment at the end there just to sort of ruin it, yeah?
yeah, ruined it. So he's in the bad books. But Scooty, are you?
Your new housemate, Scooty, love your life. It's her birthday
It's her
today.
birthday today.
What did you get her?
Well, I think it's not really bad beats, but I think I've dodged a big bullet. We're moving house. A couple of weeks ago, she wanted the Louis V bag. I think the retail price is somewhere between $1,700 and $2,100. And somehow I've weaseled my way to get out of it with a Freedom Furniture Copenhagen chair for $1,000, a little velvet blue number. But I thought I was up for the Louis V bag, so I'm happy to shoulder arms, leave that one through to the keeper. And I reckon I've saved myself, a good $1,000, and we've got something we can use. So it was going to be a sick beat for me if we get the Louis Vuitton bag, on top of about $10,000 worth of new house furniture. So, yeah, check out the new pad today, and away we go. So it's a big week.
Sick beat for me. Booked a lovely little getaway for the bride and myself and young Darcy to Noosa a week and a half ago. Now, because a couple of reptiles can't follow the rules, that's on millions to go. I've done north of 3.
Yeah.
And then I check in on Twitter last night and I see Matthew Ellerton, D Moore and D Lane. I don't know any of them. I'm not bagging them as blokes, but this relentless criticism of Dan Andrews and the state of play in Victoria is doing my absolute head in. Show some gratitude. You operate in a sport and have a job where you have not been affected 1-0, like not at all in your income, whilst people are missing out on work. I'm losing work. lots of people are suffering, and these guys just continually complain without a solution. And 2 months ago, a month ago, they were praising the bloke because racing kept going.
Exactly.
Like,
Can't be both.
you can't just. Is there a worse job in Australia right now than Dan Andrews?
No, I think he's doing a great job. But
Doesn't that like? Imagine just rocking up, going home. How's your day? Oh, again.
it looks like the Tigers are off the ball. They don't want to play AFL. I can't wait to hear the boys' take on them. They look disinterested now. They don't want to go to the hub. Can't wait to see what Cam and Ian are going to say. We can't have them in the studio at the moment because of COVID, but we'll get them on the dog and bone. In segment 3, we've got Top Rope Tedeschi. He's going to talk a rugby league. PVL looks like he's done it again. And the Snowman. The Snowman has to lift. I think it's been 2 weeks in a row and no winners. So I think the Caulfield hut needs to get a bit hot and they might have the winter blues down at Caulfield. But we might take a break and come up with segment 2 and we can talk Hall of Fame with Top Rope Tedeschi.
Welcome back to Little Birdie Pod. My name's Samantha. I'm here with Nick and Dicko, and we are welcoming our guest, Top Rope, to talk. And we're opening up with a new segment this week. It's called Who Would You Rather Be?
Ooh.
Now, boys, who would you rather be this week, Dan Andrews or Anthony Seibold?
Top Rope, you kick us away.
I'd rather be Dan Andrews because COVID's a lot better than what's going on in Brisbane. That's for sure.
For the uninitiated, what is going on up in Brisbane?
This bloke who helped force out the greatest coach in Broncos history, the man who took them to 7 premierships, who
7
left South after a year, who undermined Bennett, Isaac Moses, his manager, got him up there, put himself forward as an intellectual, took a 5-year big money deal, took over 12 Origin players. The club has now lost 5 in a row. They've just lost to the Gold Coast. They are in last spot for the first time in their history. They are clawing for this bloke. Their list management has been described as disgusting by Ben Eichen, former great of the club. The old boys there are not welcome. There is about to be an outright civil war up in Brisbane, and Anthony Seibold is on one side and all of Queensland is on the other. So it is not boding well for him. He'll do well to see out the year.
Wow.
But the thing is, that's why I'd rather be Seibold, because if he gets sacked tomorrow, he's going to get paid millions for 5 years, and he'll probably get a job.
They've got to get out for him. They've only got to pay him a year.
Still, it's $800,000 for sitting on your ass. It's good cash.
But,
it's good living.
But you do have to live in Brisbane versus living in Melbourne. You know, I could cop living in Melbourne, but he'll probably just return to PVL land after he loses his job and do his best. So
funny thing is they'd both blame imbeciles for the hardships that they face.
It's interesting, isn't it?
People who are unable to follow simple instructions have ruined my life. That'd be a pretty fitting line for both of them.
In AFL talk, I guess Brisbane tanking out would be like West Coast finishing on the bottom of the ladder, or Adelaide Crows. You know, they're clubs that are etched with a lot of pride and,
Brisbane,
and a lot of good results.
Brisbane's the most consistently big performing, strongest club in NRL, wouldn't you say, Top Rope? Like,
oh, absolutely.
By a mile.
Since their inception.
Like consistently. The Roosters will come up and go down or stuff like that. They're always thereabouts.
I'd argue West Coast have been a pretty
Absolutely.
strong club as well.
Yep.
And not only are they the biggest brand in rugby league, they're a one club town in probably the most passionate rugby league town in the world. Yeah, they've also got the most money. They are absolutely minted. They're owned by the Murdochs. So
and the poker machines are about to.
Not short of $1.
You can go out and have a drink in Queensland and sit down, which suits the poker machines, which is what they
Slap
live
away.
off too. So the punters are going to start slapping. So maybe Seibold's cash will just come up in about a couple of weeks there at the Leagues Club.
So one could only hope. One could only hope.
Goodness.
Sammy, who would you rather be?
Can I take a pass this week?
No,
I
it's
just
your
want to
segment.
answer this.
I'd rather be Dan Andrews because he can fight his way out of this, for sure. He can come out still looking victorious. I think Dan's just got to bunker down and he can come out the superstar if he can figure out what this postcode cluster and come out the other side and fix it in the next month. Everyone will think he's a champion and a hero. So I'd rather be Dan
Well, the map's
Andrews.
there for him, isn't it? The map's there for him. He just has to look a little further north to see how it's done. and the blueprint's there for him to succeed. There's no blueprint out of this one for Seibold.
Now, Top Rope, Titanic Thompson was a huge entry and a real left field play from you, but we're starting to become accustomed to that. Up next, let's talk Hall of Fame. We've had Ruben Garrick, Mighty Meerkat, the Rockhampton Galloper, Vanna Girl, the Queensland ATM Machine, and Titanic Thompson. It's a star-studded lineup in the Hall of Fame. Who have we got this week? Top rope?
If you think Titanic Thompson was left field, then buckle down, punters. We're going real wide this week. We are going real wide. Look, it was good to see we got a bit of a nomination for the anti-Hall of Fame, the Hall of Shame, this week on Twitter. The nomination of Peter Fitzsimons, and I could not endorse that nomination.
He hates
any
gambling.
more fervently. He hates gambling, he hates rugby league, and he wears a red do-rag.
No. Stop. I'm not a party to this. Like, Jeff Kennett, if you look at it through one glass, is an utter reptile. If you do a bit of research, the bloke's an Adonis. Fitzsimons has done more for this country's war history and written some of the most quality and educational books that aren't taught in school. And just on that alone, he should be respected, and we should not bag him on this show.
But if he had his way, there'd be no gambling at all in Australia,
he's
and there'd be no horse racing.
Yeah,
He's just trying to make some noise to keep selling his wages to get on shows as a consultant. It's just noise. He's not actually in a position to... we on this show relentlessly promote PVL, who hates wagering.
I wouldn't have said I promoted him at all.
Well, the show does.
I'm a realist.
Do we?
If you want to talk about blokes who hate wagering, let's look at the bloke who's taxed the life out of racing New South Wales.
Who we got this week? Top rope, straighten us up.
We're going to Chile,
Chile,
South America, and we are going with the great horse Segundo de Linea. Now, Segundo de Linea won at the Un Favor handicap last week. Just an 8-1 shot. Paid $8.50 fixed odds. Paid $1,400 the tote. Collected every dollar in the tote pool.
What a rort.
And one punter has had 50 cents on it. I bet you he's regretting not arcing up and having the full dollar on it. Collected $700 for it for the half year. So, biggest winner in tote history in both Victoria and New South Wales. So the punter's unknown, so we'll give it to the horse, Segundo de Linea.
Oh,
well done.
That's outstanding. Tote poppers still exist. And that's another issue in racing that we haven't really touched upon, the weak tote pools and what happens with City betting. It's definitely a realm that Peter V'landys can't control and can't get his hands on, but that's a yarn for another day.
Yeah, let's start talking rugby league, and PVL has slaughtered wagering, but what he has done for rugby league, you have to concede, is just outstanding leadership.
Not from a taxation point of view,
but from
you can't bet on rugby league.
But from keeping the game afloat, getting the Storm out a week early, that's reading the play big time. Top rope. Just talk us through it.
Johns-like time. It's Andrew Johns-like time. He saw it coming. He's seeing 3 moves ahead and just goes, come on, Cameron Smith. Come on, boys. Get up to Queensland. Get to a safe place. You got nothing to worry about. People will come and watch your games eventually. No one's going to go see the Broncos. Get up to Queensland. Have a good time. And out on the sunny coast, kicking back, and coronavirus is sweeping through Melbourne. I'm surprised you guys are even in the studio this week. It's wiped out, but PVL saw it coming.
Too good. Speaking of Storm versus Roosters, Sammy,
Match of the round
Thursday night.
Well, the Roosters are -6, but you can back the Storm at $2.95, of course, playing at Suncorp Stadium on Thursday. Top rope, what do you think?
Yeah, I love this game. I think this will be a little entree to the grand final main a bit later in the year. I love the Storm in this spot. I know they've lost Munster, who's their key playmaker, but this will be a real low-scoring game. 5 of the last 6 haven't reached 30 points. 6 points is a big start. Storm go pretty well as underdogs. Got a great record at Suncorp. They've 8 games since 2016, average margin of victory 23.6. I think there's plenty of value in a +6, and we'll be having a little dabble at the $2.95.
Because both sides are depleted, not just the Storm here with Munster out. The Roosters have lost 2 pretty good players.
Yeah, Victor Radley kind of is a really interesting player. He would have played Origin. He would have played Origin this year for sure, and he just creates a lot of uncertainty around the middle. He kind of engages the line, passes a lot at the line, not just a regular hit-up merchant. So I think that kind of takes away a bit of the creativity, a bit of the space for the Roosters. So I think the Storm are an excellent bet. Anytime you get +6 on Cameron Smith, that's a bet.
And you said it was a low-scoring game. Would you go the unders here? 35.5.
Oh, absolutely, that's a massive play, the unders in this game. 35.5 is a crazy high line, and there's a real edge here. Bookies tend not to go low enough on really low scoring games. This is Origin like quality, and the line around there is usually on 30.5, 32. So I'll be backing the unders them pretty hard. The unders are sitting 5 of the last 6.
Beautiful.
The next game we're going to talk about, Raiders v the Dragons.
Friday night, Campbelltown.
Mary McGregor still rolling.
Raiders are the 9.5 point favourites here. You can get the, if you wanted to, if you're feeling brave, you can back Illawarra at $4.
126 Canberra Raiders. Top rope.
I will be backing St George Illawarra at the $4, and I will be backing them at the big plus. They're already off the map. It's 11.5 into 9.5, and I think it'll start a lot shorter. The Raiders used to have one of the biggest hoodoos over the Dragons. They lost only twice to them in about 15 years, from 2000 to 2014. Never lost to them in Canberra. But since then, the Dragons have won 5 of the last 7. The Raiders, very poor as a big favourite, covered just 6 of 17 when favoured by 4 or more. Lost 3 of their last 4. I think the line here is too big. I think there's plenty of value there. And I think for those who don't mind a little bit of lair, you could have a shekel or two on the Dragons straight out, about the $4.
Did you appreciate Sticky Stewart's little smack for the Broncos and the Warriors administration through the week, Top Rope?
I loved it. You know, I love a bit of snark. I love a bit of fire. I love a little backhander, and the fact that both Stewart and Bennett came out against the Broncos yesterday. Oh wow. Tremendous stuff.
Be porn for you. Brisbane Broncos, $1.47 against the New Zealand Warriors. What a mouth-watering bottom of the ladder clash this is. Where do we go from here? Frightening.
If you're taking $1.47 on the Broncos, you should be factored as a 100% get on whatever you like anytime you want to have a bet with any betting organisation.
Pickle.
And probably committed to a local your local mental health institution.
What about Todd Payton, the post game when Cam Smith and Bellamy went in there just to give the boys a bit of support, bit of love? The Tuivasa-Sheck was just like paying 100% attention as the great man Bellamy spoke. Todd Payton looked like he'd had a really, really hard night.
Well, he's just been beaten. He's had the worst loss of any coach on debut in the history of the game. And then the opposition coach comes in and patronisingly talks to his team. I loved it. It was
a real alpha move.
It really was. It was, real sulky stuff from Todd Payton. And here's a tip: he won't be the coach next year, so he should just enjoy it and probably learn a few things from Craig.
Front rowers coaching, not sweet.
Saturday night, you'll be watching the Penrith Panthers take on the West Tigers.
The West Tigers.
Who are you betting
Battle
on?
of the West.
Balmain and Campbelltown merged. Well, Balmain and West merged. They play out of Campbelltown and out of Leichhardt, Sammy.
The line's around 4.5. Top rope. What are we thinking?
Benji
Like the
Marshall's
Penny
not
Panthers
playing.
here.
Penny Panthers.
Benji Marshall hasn't been playing for a few weeks, and the Tigers have been winning, so that's an interesting move by Maguire. But it's reaping rewards. This is not the game of the round, but it's a clear number 2. Panthers only lost 1 game all year. Surprised the line's not bigger here. They tend to hold their form well. They've covered 13 of their last 17 after a win of 7 or more points. So I'll be laying the points here, and I think the Panthers can not only win, I'll be looking at the 13 plus as well.
Beautiful.
Bit of a gap job.
Penrith has gone from $17 into $9 this month to take out the premiership. What do you think of that?
The biggest guide to success in the NRL is your defensive ranking. The Panthers have conceded 16 or fewer in 6 or 7 games. That's Storm-esque, that's Roosters-esque, so that's why they've really shortened up in premiership betting. So I still think they're undervalued. They were outsiders last week against South, who are absolute pretenders. So there'll be plenty of value on Penrith in the coming weeks, even with the big shortening job.
Proper pearl out there from Top Rope. Thank you very much, mate. Good luck this weekend.
Good luck this weekend, Top Rope. If you want to find more Top Rope, head to themailbag.com.au and get all his plays.
He's flying.
Absolutely. And if you are having a bet on the footy this weekend, head to topsport.com.au. They are offering $2 lines to win up to $200. That's enormous value. Check out the link at littlebirdie.pod.com, and always make sure that you're gambling responsibly. If you're concerned about yourself or a loved one, reach out to Gamblers Help on 1-800-858-858. Up
next, we'll talk AFL.
Welcome back to Little Birdie Pod. It's SJT and I'm here with all of the boys. And first up, we are starting with Ian. What's your favourite segment?
My favourite segment, Sammy, every week is Bad Beats.
Beautiful stuff. What have you got for us?
Let's have a look at some of the bad beats from the weekend just gone. The one that's probably freshest in the mind is what happened on Sunday night. And if you're watching that game, Hawthorn versus North Melbourne, if you're a Hawthorn line bettor, you are absolutely on your way to the ATM at about the 6-minute mark. I think it was 28 points up. North Melbourne start to actually realise that they've got to pull the finger out. They come back goal after goal after goal. And next thing you know, the money's gone. So feel for the Hawthorn line bettors there. I know
Well, do you and Scooty want to apologise to them? Because you both crowed big time.
Yeah, we got a bit excited on the group text about the Hawthorn.
Bit excited.
The Hawthorn form line. It's fair to say there was some premiership talk going on the group text and a few other things. The lid was off. It was all happening.
Do you know? I knew Hawthorn were going to win as soon as Ben Brown handed over the prune to the junior player. He did not walk back and take the kick like a forward and a man.
Unbelievable. Mate, are you a big dog key forward or are you a passenger? Do you want to hand over the rock to a kid in the biggest moment in the game, which you've influenced very, very little? And then on top of that, Higgins. He's an operator. He would be an operator on and off the field too, by the look of him. But as a talented sort of small player, you get the ball 15 out from goal. You go to give that ball off to the kid, but then you sell that candy and bang it over your left shoulder, from almost in front of goal. Instead, you handball off to another kid who kicks on his non-preferred from an almost impossible angle. Unbelievable.
Yep, couldn't agree more.
2 leaders of the club.
Yeah.
Cam, what else did you have there from bad beats from what you saw?
Yeah, well, so definitely that Hawthorn one was so rewarding because it really put you Hawthorn supporters back in your box, and it would have been great if they had a loss. That would have even been better. But, yeah, I think if you back the Bombers, even though they maybe didn't deserve to win, when you've got a guy lining up for goal from 50 out and he's kicked it and you've got the behind-the-goal angle and it just looks like it's sailing through, you're cheering, you're thinking the money's home, and it just falls short. Cale Hooker's standing there like, I don't know what he was doing, but, yeah, that was pretty flattening for Essendon backers, I think, there.
And there was probably one other one, and I know it blew up a few multis on the weekend, and I don't have too much sympathy for the big multi players because there's a hard luck story every week in a big multi. But if you'd back Lockie Neal at least for one goal, I think you could feel a little bit stiff that he didn't at least put it through the big sticks for 1 6-pointer because he kicked 0 goals 6. So you could potentially feel a bit stiff there on that one as well.
But how sick are you to be doing that sort of wager?
Yeah. Anytime goal scorer, you're back in there, you'd be very, very sick.
Now, I've got a little bit of fan mail in from like a little DM message, and I'll just read the letter out. Boys, bear with me, but it's addressed to me, but it's probably going to be answered by Cam and Dorso, so I'll let you guys do it. Dear Scoot and the Little Birdie team, big fan of the show, and happy birthday for last week, Scoot. I love the tips and the food reviews, but I'm writing looking for some help required from my husband. He's acting like a giant child. Eyes rolled up to the top of the head emoji, that look up in disgust. He's throwing big tantrums and paces up and down the house saying, the Swans have lost their brand, blah, 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 blah. He started smoking again, and yesterday he's hit 20 over at golf. What should I do? Please help. Emma from Seaford. Cam, Ian, what's going on?
I think we might know this guy. The Swans.
You know, he's a bona fide state of a gamer, and this is what worries me about this. The state of the game is one of the most discussed issues in footy. So please explain. Like every year, everyone complains about the state of AFL. Every year, the AFL still has good viewership and attendance. No other code do people complain as much about the state of the game. So are we a collective bunch of whiners, or have we created this whining due to tinkering with the rules year after year, and thus now everyone thinks that they should have their own input?
Yeah, a little bit of a
great point. But let me just own it.
Pylon culture.
Well, Cam, I actually wanted to take that one step further because I think a lot of people always refer back to the 90s that the halcyon era of AFL football was in the 90s. I actually went back to the corresponding round 13, 1995, and actually had a bit of a look at the games that were played that week. Collingwood by 96 points, Geelong by 52, North Melbourne by 37, Hawthorn by 99, Carlton by 57, and there were only 3 games that you could argue that were even close. Sydney by 19, Footscray by 16, and Melbourne by 11. So 3 good games out of 8 back in the mid-90s. And if you probably trawled through the games this week, you could probably say that there was at least 2 or 3 good games this week. So I think we get a bit, we forget that the games weren't that good back in the past as well.
So
great piece of research there. Very, very relevant.
Did Gill just play the politician? Because my mail from internal sources at a couple of different clubs is that if the knives are out for Stephen Hawking and not, these the labour pains that Clarko's talking about have been directed to AFL for years and years and years, and then Gill's come out and agreed with some of them, but then he sort of like backtracked or tried to cover his tracks and go, I'll have a friendly conversation with Steve Hawking later in the day.
The game constantly evolves. Rodney Eade ruined it with flooding. Clarko ruined it with his zoning. At the moment, he's the single most responsible person for the state of the game, whatever you think of the state of the game. Then he sits in a press conference and tries again, like he does and has done, to gently manipulate the conversation and the narrative away from what he's doing, just to try and get to suit him even more.
He might have
It's
been
disgusting.
Taking a bit of heat off the fact.
And Lee Matthews, a bloke with a much more credentialed than Alistair Clarkson, superior coach, easily a superior player, came out and said, sweet. The game's sweet. Just let it roll.
Lee's a fossil.
Lee's a fossil. Lee's coached 4 premierships at 2 different clubs, 1 premierships as a captain. He's a much better player. His opinions his opinion is not based on any kind of bias.
But Alistair's in the game right now.
You can't have like jockeys making the rules for races. You can't have coaches making the rules for footy.
Cam, solution.
I'm just let it play. Like look what they did last year. They increased allowed people to run out of the goal square. They did the 6-6-6 and it decreased scoring. So like they try and fix things. They don't test it. I just think leave it alone. And people, I'd love people to stop discussing it so much. But it's better things to discuss.
And just before we get on, now we need to address. I've been thrown under the bus by my partner in life, which sickens me so much. I knew that you had something. I knew, which I want respect for. I picked him like wronging. Emma, you're out in the lounge room tonight, and the Swans. I don't want to talk about them. I want to put this to bed. They are inept. The club is in huge strife. This bloke has been at the helm for a very, very long time.
John Longmire?
Therefore responsible for the goings on.
The demise.
And if he stays at the helm for the next 5 years, they will be sweet. I think you almost leave him now because they should have made the move 3 or 4 years ago.
Whoa.
But they are unwatchable, and I'll be tapping out for the majority of this season. Unless my man Cam Dean via the mailbag.com.au finds me some accountable betting information of which to wager.
You will not be tapping out. You will be watching every game.
The toys are out of the cot here.
Mate, I had to...
He's pacing in the studio. It's unreal.
I was fuming.
He's digging holes.
Fuming. And I confided in her in bed. I just said, I am so, that was unwatchable. That was, I did. I had a few cigarettes. I was just so flat about what they served up.
So back to the 3-man team on the weekend. I think if Heaney can actually get involved, the Swans are anytime Heaney plays well, the Swans are a live chance. So I actually think that market's a little bit high in the West Coast game at the moment. So there might be something for the Swans bettors there.
I reckon just write the season off. We'll get Danaher next year. Have him and Bud. You watch how dangerous Papley and Heaney will be when those 2 big operators are up there.
I don't know about hitching the wagon to Danaher, but...
Yeah.
Mate. I don't know that that's the right
I'd rather
strategy
Danaher than
either.
Patton, put it that way.
Now let's talk this week. The Blues versus the Saints. Sammy, Thursday night?
Yeah, they're kicking us off at Marvel Stadium. St Kilda is the 6.5-point favourites. You can back Carlton at $2.30. Boys, I'm going to hand it over to you, but please let me down gently if you're not backing the Blues.
Like you care.
Well, I really like the look of the Blues at plus 9.5, I think, at the opener earlier in the week at the MCG. But as we know, things have really changed. Now we're back at Marvel Stadium. How do you see this one, Cam?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I liked the price earlier in the week. It's being backed a little bit now. Marvel Stadium is the one thing that sort of turns me away from the Blues. I think they're very close, these two teams. And also, the Saints could have a couple of big outs, like Jones might not play. I don't know how good Hill's ankle is. So I might wait for teams and see what happens there. But I'd only be backing the Blues if I was backing anyone.
And traditional rivals, Collingwood, Essendon, usually the Anzac Day blockbuster. Sammy, market?
Yeah, it's at the G. Collingwood are the 13.5-point favourites at this point, and Essendon Bombers $2.90.
Yeah, this has been the big market mover of the week, this one, and I think mainly due to the fact that Steele Sidebottom's probably going to get suspended or potentially going to get suspended for breaches of COVID. So I think that's come in from like 18.5 at the start of the week. So once again, for me, with that, until that announcement's made, I wouldn't be betting on it, but I probably did like the Bombers at the 18.5 before the move.
Wow. Ian?
There you go. Well, I was coming in the other way on that one. I liked the Pies at the start of the week. I had the market rated a little bit higher than that, so I like the Pies, but this whole Steele Sidebottom thing has really sort of thrown things into a bit of chaos. So may still back the Pies, but just a bit of watch and wait on that one for teams.
How bad's the big out for the Pies going to be?
Well, he's been in super form, Sidebottom, and you're always worried about
how though?
How's huge, and you always worry about these things more culturally, I think, than anything else. If that's the attitude of the players, that they're getting out on the lash on the Sunday night on a short turnaround, you sort of, I don't know, I'm always worried about the psyche of the team. If that's one of the leaders doing that, what's going on in the rest of the team? And
I was just thinking from like a mug punter's point of view, like how often do you see Howe mark the footy, switch to Sidebottom, who's done that harder under the pocket? They start their sort of swing back, and now they're both missing. That's two like key links to their ball movement gone.
Yeah,
agreed.
Yep.
Yeah, looking at another team that we gave a rocket to a couple of weeks ago were the Western Bulldogs. They're false starters out of the blocks post-COVID, but now they've hit back and sort of found some form. Maybe question marks over the form, but they find themselves slight favourites over the Roos with a line at 5.5. And what happens with the Roos? Where do the Roos go from here? Like, will they come out firing? Well, Ben Brown has to.
Well, yeah, Ben Brown, he was manhandled on the weekend a bit by McAvoy, and I could see Clarko's frustration. He just couldn't get near the ball. He was just buffeted every time he went near it. But in this game, I think Norton's a massive out for the Dogs. Lloyd's also another clever forward that won't play for the Dogs. Hopefully this time, finally, Cunnington will play for the Kangas. He's supposed to have played the last 2 weeks and been laid out both times. I rate these teams very equally, so I will be backing Kangas here at the plus 5.5.
I can't believe the Dogs, they didn't start favourites last week against the Swans. It was an outstanding bet by Cam to... What'd you back them? Over try, wasn't it?
Yeah, over 12.5.
Outstanding angle. I still can't get over how they weren't favourites. Surprised they are here, though.
Dorso?
Yeah, completely agree on the Dogs North Melbourne. I had them lined very similarly. So on the bigger price, you got to be on the Kangas on this one.
And Sunday night, GWS take on the Hawks. Of course, GWS is the 7.5-point favourites here at the Giants Stadium. Where are you betting?
So let's not let Dowso talk about this one. I think
good recent history here.
I think GWS are completely back. I really liked them last week. They probably should have beaten the Pies by more. The week before against the Dogs, they were decimated by injury. I think they're probably the most talented side in the comp. I really think they're back, and I'll be backing GWS here. But I won't be pulling the trigger yet because I feel like this market's going to move towards the Hawks. And I'll probably be able to get 5.5 on GWS later in the week, and that's what I'll be backing.
I think Cam just goes against Hawthorn every week just to rev me up.
No, it makes sense to me because you know what he's doing? He's using his articulate and highly experienced brain to place a wager on a game that if you didn't would be unwatchable.
I thought Hawthorn's brand for the first 3 quarters was good. I thought we should have been probably 10 goals in front rather than 5, and we've just turned off the Jets. And yeah, I thought Clarko definitely diverted and started to talk about the state of the game rather than the performance on the field, which was genius from Clarkson. But we've seen what happens as soon as Hawthorn put in a bad performance. The Geelong match, they came out and absolutely belted Richmond into submission. So, Cam, I'm happy to have a cheeky slab as a side bet. If you want it, just I'll give you the 7.5 points. We can just go heads up. I'll give you a little bit of value there, so you can have the evens. No, I'll give you evens. Greater Western Sydney. So don't worry about the line. I'll cop the unders, the Hawks. I'll take evens, and you can have evens on the $1.62 there at Top Sport.
Very generous, Scoot. Thank you. And I agree with you. I think the Hawks are playing really good footy, and if they weren't up against GRS, I'd probably like them this week. But they've come up against a really good side this week, so that's why I'm not on the Hawks.
Let's talk futures. Richmond are petrified of going into the hub. They've got the Ds this week, but what's it shaping up in the futures market? It's Brownlow, the NAB Rising Stars, a fait accompli. What do you like, guys?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting for me with what's going on with COVID and how games may not be going ahead, and they're talking about hubs and things. It's a real opportunity I see in that Richmond don't seem to be handling it mentally. West Coast don't seem to be handling it mentally. And then you've got these teams at the top of the ladder with wins on the board, Port Adelaide and Brisbane. And they've already got wins. They're in a good mental state. That the hubs aren't going to affect them. And it could be even shorter than a 17-game season. I think I'll be backing, like Brisbane, I think is still a decent price. I think you can get $8 at Top Sport. And Port Adelaide at $6.50. They're two teams that I quite like for the premiership at the moment.
Pulling the trigger. Ian?
I think on the Tigers, my initial reaction when I saw those comments from Cochin yesterday were to lay the Tigers. But I'm interested to see how the Tigers go if they actually have a couple of senior players pull out. I think they might even go better if they've got a couple of the old guys that perhaps don't want to be there. And they actually went well on the road. But, interesting times. You got anything on the Brownlow there, Cam?
Yeah, just the one more there. The Brownlow's really opening up. Like, for me, I don't love backing favourites, but Lachie Neale, he's leading the Brownlow. He's in a team that's going to win a lot of games from here, and he's in for a huge percentage of their bets. Their votes.
Their votes.
So, their votes. And everyone else is drifting around him. Like, Fife done his hamstring. Dusty doesn't seem to be caring too much this year. Dangerfield's not playing particularly well. Rail's going great, but I can't see him sustain that for a whole season. Cripps is not at his best that he can be, but he's playing okay. For me, I like Neale, and I think what you can get, I think it's $4.20 actually. He's been in from $4.60 at the start of the week, which is unfortunate. But if you can shop around and get a better price, I quite like Lachie Neale for the Brownlow at the moment.
And Sammy, Top Sport specials for this week?
Well, if you are having a bet on the footy this weekend, make sure you head to topsport.com.au. They're offering even money lines to win up to $200, which is incredible value, boys. It's
Enormous value.
huge. Make sure you are gambling responsibly and head to Gamblers Help 1-800-858-858 if you are concerned.
Boys, thank you very, very much for that outstanding analysis. We have got In the Know with the Snowman up next, along with Sammy's charity bet.
Welcome back to Little Birdie Pod. It's Sammy and the boys, and we are welcoming in our final guest. It's the Snowman.
In the know with the snow. Snowman.
Scoot, Diggo, Sammy, how are we?
We're
Very
fantastic.
Good.
Snowy, you've been a little bit off the boil, so maybe it's time to put yourself in the paddock or freshen up or find a way out of these winter blues.
Well, he's cycling, we just learned.
Yeah, he's a bit of a
cycler.
fitness campaign, and you've got a question for Sammy straight off the bat. Don't know where this is heading.
Hang on a minute.
Well, gee, you'd be
We didn't
nervous.
okay this.
Well, I've got a question for you. I'm about to do dry July. I'm coming up to 10 days already, and I've said to a couple of boys, I'm off it. That's it. I'm having a spell. Bit of a freshen up before the spring. I thought I'd get some odds on it. I was just going to let you know, since I was about 18, I think the record's probably about 2 weeks. Sorry, Mother, she probably don't want to hear that, but I was going to ask you, Sammy, what odds am I to get through dry July?
Would he be even money, $1.50? I think he'd be somewhere around the $3 mark.
Yeah, I was going to say $3.20.
$3.20.
I'd lay
do you
all
want
day. Lay,
to back yourself to go alcohol free, knowing that I'm going to do everything in my power to shove a beer down your throat?
I've got a couple of rules. One of them, I'm staying well away from the co-pilot, so if I do that, that should help. And then I am heading home this weekend. It's going to be funny. Normally me and Dad will go for a few beers, watch the races, and he's going to say, Saturday, you coming for a drink? And I'm going to say no. And you know what it's like back home in the country, Scooter. It's pretty much frowned upon not to have a beer, so it's going to be a bit of a battle straight up this weekend.
Oh, no.
I'm more interested, Snowy. I just like learning that you're a cyclist and a tradie.
Yeah.
Commercial
Yes.
tradie. So you don't need to take your tools to work, but you need to get to work. Sometimes it'll be 6 a.m., 7 a.m. Are you riding to work along the cold, icy streets of Melbourne in a sort of high-vis operation with like a little flashing light?
Well, I'll tell you what, the cyclists, they're a crazy bunch. At the start, I was just cruising along, minding my own business. I did have no lights, and geez, didn't I cop a couple of sprays? And especially when you go around someone too and you don't have a belt, they just give it to you. I'm like, Jesus, calm down, guys. So anyway, I have got a flashing light on the front, a flashing light on the back, and my fluoro's on now. So I've learnt the hard way.
Wow.
Snowman.
It's a sight to see, Jack.
Do you ever get into a fight with any of them?
That's just me.
No,
No,
I'm
that's
not.
just Scooty. Yeah, he's a bit fiery.
They're not game. If I get off the bike, they run send.
Yeah, they're similar operators, you know. They're like, you don't want to wind them up. They'll go ya.
What about any holding hands around the
The
tan at the
lycra.
moment, Snowy? Has Tinder been firing up for you? How are you going to survive the next couple of weeks of lockdown? I know you're in an okay postcode. What's your plan?
Well, I think I'm just going to hit the fitness now. I've got nothing else. I can't be going out on weekends, so I think number one priority this month is getting fit.
And-
Taking after Jack, he's on a fitness campaign, so I'll follow his lead, I think.
Appreciate
That is
that, mate.
absolute rubbish. He's back on the darts.
He's falling
Now,
off that bike.
hopefully, you can turn things around for us on the punt. Let's talk racing. What is the word from the Caulfield Hut this week?
Well, this week, Graham Beggs got Romancer in the Winter Championship finals,
Fourth up.
1,500 metres, and he thought it was a great each-way chance. And then in the 2-year-old sprint final for Mick Price, Sense of Honour. So they were two from the Hut, from the Begg yard and Mick Price yard, and maybe Dicko might give them a mention on the mailbag show, but they were the two that the trainers are most keen on for this weekend.
Yeah, I think we back Romancer, Scooty, in the stratosphere.
Yeah,
sort
in
of
the
$20
Punters Club.
shot. It just missed. Went really well. Raced again since. Now looks like it's fourth up and sort of primed to run a big race. It's a Flemington horse. I suspect if we get the right price, we'll be betting there. And this Sense of Honour, SP 440 in a pretty good race. It's only had 2 career starts, so that's good mail there. We'll have a really good look at that race for Thursday's
They do
show.
really like the filly. That was the words that come out of Mick's mouth. He goes, I really like this filly, so hopefully that can be one for us that day.
We might have to get you now on this fitness kick. We might have to get you to ride down every morning to the Caulfield Hut at 3:30 and then ride back just to get the absolute premium oil and get the binoculars out under the cover of darkness, Snowy. What do you reckon about that? And you might even get lucky down there.
Well, who knows, but it wasn't too bad this morning, about 9 degrees, but at the start of the week when she's 3 degrees, gee, she's pretty fresh on the face and the hands riding in.
It was a lot warmer this morning than yesterday. When I teed off, it was 3.4. It felt like 0.2. Today, this morning, it was a lot warmer. Don't know what that's about.
Would you ever stop?
How are you hitting them off the tee, Jack?
Well, we've already done it once on the show, but I hit 11 over with the Dolphin on Friday, and then I hit the same course and I hit 20 over yesterday. So there's still a lot of work to be done.
And
A little bit like
Still
you
a lot of
mentally.
head noise.
Yeah,
A lot of
like you
head
just in
noise
life.
out
It's
there.
me on the golf course. A lot of head noirs and a real big yo-yo.
and when
Tell you
you,
what, Scooter, since I give him a hiding on the course that day, he hadn't asked me for a game since, so I'm waiting for a call, Jack.
Ooh,
wouldn't
tail
surprise
between
me.
the legs.
Would not surprise me. Snowy, you're heading up to Corowa. How do
Yeah.
you rank the Parker's Pies at Rutherglen? Have you ever had a chicken pie from Parker's Pies?
Yeah, they're very good, aren't they?
They're
gotta be
elite.
right up there, I reckon. They are amazing.
Yeah.
Normally after a big weekend up there, I do stop there on a Sunday or Monday and get one on the way home, but we won't have to worry about that this weekend. But I reckon I'll still get one regardless.
If you check it out, if you're in the Albury-Wodonga region, Parker's Pies, Rutherglen. Thanks, Snowy. We'll chat to you next week.
No worries, guys. See ya.
If you're having a little look at the races for this weekend and you want to have a closer look at those horses, I suggest that you head to puntingform.com. It's the number one choice for horse racing professionals.
puntingform.com.au, Samantha.
But it's not just Australian racing. There's Hong Kong racing,
Honkers,
Singapore. It's the best database. I've been using it for probably 5 or 6 years, and Jack's been doing similar.
Little pearl for punting form, if you want to get involved, is if you figure out an angle that works for you, say you're a Victorian punter or a New South Wales punter, you can start to build that into a system which punting form gives you, which will spit out horses that fit that criteria at tracks like Singapore, anywhere.
And it's just automated, so
You can increase your
does the work
turnover
for
slightly,
you.
which is always a good thing, Samantha.
Now, this week we've got a charity bet thanks to topsport.com.au.
Sammy's got a charity bet.
Yeah, Sammy.
Sammy's been sitting there listening, taking it all in.
That's right. I've been
keeping
taking
her head
notes.
clear, making some notes, and made some decisions. And what are they?
What are we backing for charity?
Well, we're doing a little 2-leg multi here, and I was quite interested in top rope segment. I loved when he started talking about the unders for the Storm Roosters match. So it's under 35.5, and Penrith Panthers at the minus, which takes us to a combined odds of $3.70.
So 100 goes on for charity.
Start building the bank.
Start building the bank.
Get in touch online
Yeah.
with which charity you want us to aim this money at. 'Cause we're undecided at the
Put up a
moment.
little poll, I think.
Yeah, we might put up a poll. Been a great show. Favourite segment. I love throwing Dicko under the bus. We didn't really get into the Swans enough.
Yeah, and I didn't get to return serve enough, but I am happy with my read on Scooter. Did I not, Sammy, say there was something coming?
He hadn't even made it into the studio. You saw him coming in. And
I could just tell by his behaviour, his pattern, that he had something he was really happy about.
And we'll also put up a poll or start a question on social media. What are the worst gifts that you've been given? The cookbook I thought was a great gesture from the Dolphin, and I'm really surprised as a bloke that is going to give a gift to his girlfriend today. I'm sort of a little bit rattled if my surprise gift doesn't go over the best, but I'm definitely going to give back the cookbook.
It's very disappointing. Lack of effort, lack of work rate from the Dolph. Surprised he got away with it. It's a true sign of how much he means to you that you've tolerated that sort of effort. One tip I will give the punters, just thought of it just then. Throughout the week, this week, I don't know how you do it, but you must sign up to the Uber Eats sort of email. But each day there's been a 50% off. So you get desserts, Thai, each like food range.
Yeah.
It's an outstanding, it's a really, really good setup. You can knock over like $50 worth of food, $25 to the door.
Too good. Jack's just discovered Uber Eats down at Seaford on delay. You'd think he's out of Perth. Thanks for joining us on Little Birdie Pod. Head to the website or subscribe to our YouTube channel to find more Little Birdie podcasts. See you next week.